There's been a lot of concern recently about decline in bee numbers, particularly bumblebees, and also a decline in birds, especially songbirds. The numbers have been absolutely decimated, and all sorts of reasons have been put forward for this, particularly climate change. Anyway, I have this problem in my garden, and in this little video looks at 3 of the culprits. 2 of them are doing what they have to do in order to survive, but the 3rd is a bigger nuisance than people appreciate. Anyway, we'll just take them one at a time. It's got that grey pollen of clover on its back legs, and so has this one. The orange tail, slightly different species to the other one. But it's busy on this hot day. Here they're working on the asparagus. You can hear them, but they're very busy whizzing about. There's a honeybee. I haven't seen one of them in the garden for ages. Asparagus flowers are absolutely tiny. They obviously contain an awful lot of nectar. And the pollen is bright red, sort of bright orangey red. So you can tell when bees are working it. There's a bumblebee which has disappeared. You can see the bright red pollen on its pollen sacs. It has a really big load of pollen on. It will go back to the hive and dislodge this for feeding the young bees. Oh, amazing colour. Difficult to keep up with them. They're busy things, as the saying goes. And for those with a more than just a passing interest in bees, there is a book called The Pollen Lords of the Honeybee by a woman called Rosemary Hodges, which has the colours and drawings of all the pollens, and you can identify what the bees are working on from that. I think it's out of print and it's quite expensive, and but you have to be a pretty dedicated beekeeper to want to go through it. But it's nice just to be able to recognise the common ones, like white clover and heather, dandelions, and this one, which I suppose is quite rare in this country, is certainly in this part of the world, this bright red of the asparagus. Sort of the big bruisers of the bumblebee world. You don't often see them on clover, but they're the dominant bumblebee on this on these bramble flowers. They differ from these here, which are a bit smaller. You should really check and see what these things are called. A bit like moths. You can see that this one's got sort of more browny bands on it. Yeah, it's very different, that one. Quite small with that very ginger thorax. This is damaged by a badger. It's dug out this bumblebee's nest. You see the empty cells there. There's still the odd bee flying in and out. The nest is destroyed really, which is a great shame because it's October and these bees which are in here will have been queens to overwinter. Working bumblebees don't survive the winter, they're like wasps, only the queens survive the winter to start a colony next year. Those great big bumblebees you see whizzing about in March and April, they're queen bees. And this isn't the only damage badgers doing. In this little plot I've got here, they've destroyed a partridge's nest, and they killed some leverets, some young hares, which is really infuriating. So they aren't the cosy little black and white jobs you see, meandering around rather amusingly eating earthworms. They're very, very destructive of anything which is on the ground. But you just have to put up with it, unfortunately. So there's a bee just come in now. I mean, bumblebees are in a desperate state. Their numbers have been absolutely decimated by, well, predominantly it seems by an insecticide group called nicotinamides. Badgers certainly don't help matters. Every year a badger digs out about 8 of these in my garden. And 3 different varieties of bee, the sort of red-tailed bumblebee and a big thing, and then this funny little pale yellow looking thing, I don't know what they're called. I have a book inside which I could identify them with, but it is very, very sad. There's one of the bees there. There's another one. And this is all in a very small area. I would think it's not more than probably what? 50 yards by 20 yards. Well, this blooming badger's been back again. And it's taken out another 3 bumblebee colonies. Distressed bees everywhere. Badgers are implicated in the disappearance of hedgehogs, whose numbers have just fallen off a cliff. I've only seen 2 this year. Mr. Brock kills and eats Mrs. Tiggywinkle. PC Plod investigating. That would be a real nightmarish bedtime read for children. So there you can see the lavender. The lavender is out, and not many bees on it. There's a small tortoise shell whizzing about in a breeze. The colours make a nice contrast. There's a bumblebee working lavender flowers. Lavender honey is quite distinct. If you have honeybees and you can get them on some lavender, it's quite a distinct flavour, and it's quite popular, certainly in France. Well, yesterday this lavender was covered with bumblebees, where I'd suspect the destruction of those 3 nests overnight by that badger has put paid to large numbers of them. In sparrowhawk just sitting outside the window. They're amazing. I don't know what she's doing. Right, he's caught a bird. Right. There's a big cock sparrowhawk sitting on the hedge in the garden. It's an impressive looking thing. Of course, very bad news for nesting birds, particularly blackbirds, of which there are quite a number in the garden. It's a pity they don't like cats. That would be a real bonus. If your neighbours have cats, this is what you've got to put up with on your garden. And it carries all kinds of diseases, not the least of which, some of which can affect your eyesight. And there's today's recent addition. Every day it's the same, another heap. Here's another monument pile of cat faeces, their usual. It carries diseases which can cause blindness in humans. An appalling mess. It stinks, gets all over your blooming lawnmower, you stand in it. When you're digging the garden or pulling weeds out, you get it all over your hands. Absolutely disgraceful. And of course, cat owners, they don't give a stuff. And of course in my garden at this time of year, which is July, and you have lots of fledglings about, these cats just come in here and slaughter them wholesale. You can hear that goldfinch behind me. It's got a nest full of young. When they fledge, these cats will probably take 80% of them. The owners have, put them out in the middle of the night and then chat to them like they're kids, You've been out to see your friends. If I had a dog and it went and defecated on this neighbour's lawn every morning and I just left it, there would be all hell to pay. And this is the other issue you have with them. You try to create a wildlife friendly environment, particularly for birds and small mammals. And these cats come in and just kill everything. These young blackbirds are just being picked off, one by one. And earlier in the year they just pulled out a nest full of young robins. Killed a lot, there were 5 in the nest, just killed a lot. And their owners think they're just wonderful things. They just turn them out and in the morning or at night, and they just get up to all sorts of mischief. It really is heartbreaking. Recently there was a programme on TV about a village with 50 cats. And the conclusion they came to, because they only saw one cat catch a bird, the damage they do to wildlife is minimal. If you've got 50 cats in a village, I'm surprised there's any wildlife left. No wonder they only saw a cat catch one bird. These so-called experts. Anyone with half a brain could suss that out. This is what you have to put up with. Bloody cats killing wildlife in your garden. Horrendous. Absolutely shocking. and defecating everywhere. It's gradually being recognised that cats are a major problem when it comes to conserving wildlife, and this is coming to the fore certainly in the United States of America, and has been a major problem in Australia. And I came across these signs in a wildlife park in Australia, which make the point very graphically. I mean, in England or in the United Kingdom there are 8 million cats. That's 8 million cats that are known about. In other words, have an owner. Goodness knows how many others just roaming about, feral cats. And if they just kill, say, one animal a week, which is most unlikely, they probably kill more than that, then that works out at over 400 million small creatures every year. And at this time of year, certainly in my garden, the most vulnerable small creatures are fledglings, young birds. In my case, it's blackbirds, robins, and this year goldfinches were added to the list, which is a great shame. Young fledglings in the nest, of course, are quite noisy when their parents bring them food. Cats are very aware of this. And cats in my garden destroyed a nest full of young robins. All 5 of them, just dragged them out and killed them on the lawn. Just left them there. I mean, the thing about cats is they're not doing it to survive. I mean, most cats are well fed by their owners. It's a game for them. It's a sort of an instinct thing. I have no problems with cats per se. I mean, I quite like cats. I quite like all animals. But it's the owners I have problems with. I have problems with. And the other issue I have problems with is cats use my vegetable patch for their toilet. They defecate on it everywhere. So when you're digging or weeding, you have to be really careful you don't come into contact with this stuff, because it carries terrible diseases, not the least of which is toxoplasmosis, which is particularly dangerous to pregnant women. I mean, it can cause miscarriage, which is a disastrous thing to happen. So when these owners push the cat out at night, go and play with your little friends, it annoys, it infuriates me. Why can't they be kept in overnight? Why can't they why can't they be like dogs, and if you want to take them out, you take them out on a lead? And if they defecate somewhere, you pick it up and put it in a little poly bag and take it home with you. Why they should just be allowed to roam, killing things and defecating wherever they like, strikes me as utter nonsense. It can be done. I mean, if you had an expensive cat like a Burmese or a Burman, and it was worth 500 quid, I'm blooming sure that you wouldn't let it just roam about the neighbourhood doing whatever it liked. You'd have it on a lead, you'd keep it in. And if you can do it with valuable cats, why can't you just do it with a run-of-the-mill moggy?